All right, everybody. Welcome to Why Ukraine, the Last Alliance. I should say, my Govanen, Melanine. Thank you all for coming. I see the gang's all here. It's fantastic. Bell, Manu, good to see you. Blonde Bombshiller, you're not late this time. It's fantastic. Real Dave Seaman. Excellent to see everybody. I see Mr. Squiggle, Ronnie, Salt of the Red Earth, Viper, good to see you, my man. Dimitru, Mr. Squiggle, all kinds of amazing people. Everybody who's come. I'm a little bit more prepared, I would argue, than I was last time, but we'll see. That doesn't always work out for me. But here I am, once again, as per usual, in the middle of Ukraine. The flags I have behind me are the ones that were signed by the people we supported last week, which was pretty awesome, amazing. If you didn't see the videos from last week, please go check out those live streams. And I'm going to be posting shorts, short videos from the week once I kind of get them cleared for OPSEC. I want to do kind of a delay. Maybe it's been too much of a delay by now. Yeah. Feel free to like and subscribe. Most importantly, if you feel like my live stream is worthwhile, share it with people. It's probably the most important thing you could do. Today, I really want to thank, I don't feel like I did this enough. I really want to thank Greg Terry for helping make last week's drone delivery happen to the 63rd Brigade. He kind of got things rolling and made the first contacts, and really fantastic. He and Jenny. so thank you to him very much. Bill, yes, you can. I guess you can steal my shorts. Don't tell my wife though. Thank you, Manu. I'm glad that you like my shorts. They're black right now. I am wearing shorts. It's starting to warm up here in Ukraine. So it's actually perfect weather here in Ukraine. Unfortunately, that also means, and I don't have it up on my screen right now, that also means that perfect weather means it's perfect weather for the Russians. Oh, Paul Gilbert, good night. Good to see you. This perfect weather also means it's perfect weather for Russia to be attacking right now. And so you guys probably are all watching all the maps and all the other, ATP Geopolitics and everybody else. And, it's bad. It's bad because, we're in this weird place where the weapons are just not quite there yet. And so Russia is just throwing everything at the, so we're going to talk about that as we go along. But, down here, Ukraine's just kind of sad. I mean, losing ground. I don't know how else to say it, but that's how it is right now. And we're just like I said a couple of months ago, we're going to be running on fumes, kind of coasting into the gas station, hoping that the attendant is there, Yeah, and we're going to talk. Real Dave Seaman, you said that it seems that ATACMs are there, though. And I'm going to talk about that. Manu, have I heard Macron? No. Did Macron say something interesting today? Please tell me. I mean, other than his usual stuff about sending troops into Ukraine and what have you, I haven't heard. But I mean, as you know, we were in Sloviansk here, and kind of down from Izium to Sloviansk, this whole area going through the formerly occupied territories. And man, just looking at the map now, I realize how it's pretty close. It's not too far, not too far away. So, but you know what? There good things. Good things are happening days ago, but I just like to see it. I just like to see it, man. It's just great. Bradleys, MRAPs, 1,000 Humvees, everything. I don't care. It's all great. It's all great. Salt is not here to fuck spiders. Okay, Ronnie. Just I don't care what it is. Bring it on. We there's nothing we don't need here, and I I just want to look at this and just read it over and over again, because I know how bad it is for the guys out there. Chasiv Yar is, I mean, I'm sure you guys watch other videos to know about what's going on out there. If you don't, you should. Obviously ATP Geopolitics reporting from Ukraine, Yevgeny from Ukraine, all of those guys. This is a real scary situation right here in Chasiv Yar. Really tough. So, we're just, like I said, we're just running on fumes. Paul, I wanted to let you know that I mailed your stuff finally this week. And I actually have the receipt in my hand, my hot little hand. I haven't entered. You will get an email with the tracking number as soon as I put it in. It's literally on this piece of paper here. With the stuff that you won, and I think you actually bought some stuff too. So thank you very much for that. And in fact, everybody who bought stuff from the Shopify, I'm going to be closing it out this week, because Shopify is just being assholes. Basically, Shopify still has not turned my shop back on. So we are holding a second raffle, and Belle here has generously donated her amazing painting that's shown here. Plus, we're also including like this really cool magnet and these collectible stamps, the Russian warship go F yourself stamps, which are signed, literally signed on the back. Yeah, some patches. Yeah, and Paul, I want to apologize. We were out of. There was one type of patch, the Ukraine symbol patch, the Ukraine trident, and so I was forced to substitute a slightly different one. But I think you're going to like it. You might like it more. I mean, it still has the Ukraine symbol, but it's long this way instead of this way. Anyway, so one of the things we are raffling off is this flag, which is signed by one of the FPV pilots of the 63rd Brigade that we delivered a drone to. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean it's a real bastard of a thing to have to deal with this with the Shopify and have to move everything over. I'm gonna be moving everything over to Buy Me a Coffee. But in the meantime, you can send a donation if you want to enter into the raffle to buy this drone. You can just go to Buy Me a Coffee, or you can go to this PayPal here, and in the note for either one of those, just put raffle, and then I'll know what it's for. So with that in mind, we can move on with the news. So It's a very interesting thing. U.S. buys 81 Soviet. I know this has been reported. Oh, YouTube is deleting comments and chats again. Urgh, I hate that. It's so obnoxious. Oh, Cheryl, thank you for coming. And Yogi, it's great to see you. It's fantastic. Really awesome. So it's just very interesting. So these are old planes, Su-24, Su-27, these old planes. And it's very interesting why. So you know, the U.S. kind of pulled a sneakeroo. It shows that Russia's not the only country that knows how to operate through layers of shell companies. You know, is pretty much the situation. And you know, Kazakhstan is saying, you know, no, we're not selling. That we're not allowed to sell to outside entities. It says that foreign companies were not allowed to bid. But guess what? You know, it happened. So it's very interesting. But I think about why. Because it turns out that they bought them for an average value of $19,000. Yeah. Man, it's cool. But think about what they really did. What they really did here, even if most of these are inoperable or whatever, what they really did here was prevent Russia from getting them. You know, that's the big deal. Russia gets these, you know, they could use them. So it's better to just take them off the board. Hey Max, what you missed? You missed everything. Yeah, we're already done with the stream. Sorry, Max. No. Yeah, we're all good. Yeah, bought through a third party, Mitch, exactly. So now so Cameron, David Cameron, the what is he? The Secretary of State, the Foreign Minister of Great Britain, former Lord Cameron, I guess, former Prime Minister, right? So promised aid, $3.75 billion. That's cool. So it's kind of finally turning this on. But here's the big deal, right? He said London is not against its weapons being used inside Russia. That's a BFD, people. Okay? This just came out today. You know, like the UK has no objections to the weapons it provided being used within Russia. So that's including Storm Shadow. Okay? Like, dude, that ups the ante. That, you know, I mean, I feel like Great Britain kind of fell behind in providing aid. Kind of Rishi Sunak got distracted or something. But, you know, they really have been, you know, this puts pressure on, just like with the F-16s and every other thing. It's like this slow escalation. We're like, oh, I'm not going to go unless you go. Okay, you went. Okay, I'll go another inch. Oh God, it's so cowardly. But fine. You know, the UK of all the countries I believe, has shown the most courage. Oh, yeah. Well, you only get off scot-free if you buy a raffle ticket. So there you go. Cheryl, you just recommended that to Biden yesterday. Hell yeah, man. I know you're doing good work out there. I was thinking about you yesterday. That's probably why. I don't know. You pop into my mind frequently. Interesting. So I want to talk about something else. All right, this is all good news, but this is something crazy here. This is weird. So this is from Warthog Defense, okay, and he turned me on to this Substack here, Igor Shushko. Okay, now I don't know Igor Shushko from Adam, but he puts forth some very interesting revelations. I don't have a lot of references for this, so I can't really back it up. But basically, there's this crazy corruption, and it's difficult for me to describe what the corruption actually was. Some crazy corruption scheme involving this dude. This guy just got arrested. If you didn't know, his name's Ivanov. He is Sergei Shoigu's second-hand man. So this is the picture here. You got Sergei Shoigu, and you got Timur Ivanov. Okay, and these guys, they're the heads of the Russian Defense Department. Well, so it turns out that this guy was basically involved with procurement and construction. Hey, Herb. Awesome. You can't dock my pay. One, I don't get paid. I was here, but on the phone to Mrs. Okay, fair enough. So, this is just incredibly interesting, right? So basically, I according to this article, in 2021, this huge. Now the thing is everybody in Russia, especially in the government, is incredibly corrupt, and so they're catching the corruption, but it's kind of like they know everybody's corrupt, so they're just looking for one reason or another to hang you. Thank you, Viper. It's not corruption; it's taking money normal in Russia. He just got greedy and took more than Putin. You know what? That's probably exactly correct. You probably hit the nose on the proverbial head there, And so basically the allegations came out and I could be wrong about this, but I think I saw the allegations first came out in 2021. And so 2021. This 2021 investigation became a huge problem for not just Ivanov, but also Defense Minister Shoigu himself, who has been profiting off his racketeering scheme, as well as for Silikov, another deputy defense minister. They desperately needed to stop this investigation. According to Oshechkin sources, in 2021, Shoigu made military intelligence under the command of the General Staff fabricate countless supports for Putin, which painted an apocalyptic picture. In the coming months, NATO ground forces would enter Ukraine to de-occupy Donbass. The false reports put to Putin about NATO to instigate a crisis and war to halt the investigation into their corruption worked, facilitating the start of the large-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Shoigu and his mafia urgently needed this war to get rid of the corruption investigation against them. So, Ronnie, I think you make a good point. We're starting. The purge is starting, I think, is what we're seeing here. That's really what's going on. The purge is set to begin, and I think Putler, as much of as you say, Cheryl, he's as much of a narcissistic sociopath as he obviously is. He doesn't, want anybody else out sociopathing or narcissisming him, And he's looking for a way out and some fall guys. Exactly correct. And so, by the way, I'm pouring chicory into my tea. YouTube just blocked one of my messages. You know what? Salt to the red earth. I found out that hang on for a second here. Restream, which is the software that I use, which is a web-based software. Restream has UTV and him. How you doing, man? I mailed out your T-shirt this week. Just wanted to let you know it's coming to you, and you ordered a magnet as well, and that is coming to you as well. Your signed T-shirt. My Russian ex heading to Belgium for the weekend. Very suspicious. Well, Paul, I'll tell Ronnie to look out for her. um, yeah, and I was telling everybody that I think I sent out like 3 orders this week because I'm closing out the Shopify, and so you will also get an email with, or you should get a notice soon with the tracking information as well, because I have it on this piece of paper. I just haven't had time to put it in. Yeah. So anyway, going back to this, the crazy conspiracy theorists in America who are always saying, "Oh, well, it's the military industrial complex that's starting all these wars." You know, well, they're right. They're right. It's just it's not the American military industrial complex. Okay, there are other powers in the world besides America. You know, we're not the only thing in the world like we tend to think we are. Mr. Squiggle, that's very interesting. I think I'm glad you guys brought up the disappearing comments. I think I'm going to go in and see if I can change the restream. Restream has like a bot and that might be what's doing it. And I think I can, but I can't do it right now in the middle of a stream. But I think I can in the settings of my software, and I'll do that, and then we'll test it next to stream, and see. Hello, Mary. Thanks for coming. Thank you. So yeah, so that's why I titled this "The Real Reason for the War." Ironically, was to try and cover up Russia's own corruption internally. And now it's just kind of probably just gotten out of control. And, yeah, that's interesting. Ukraine was started to wash dirty Russian money. Well, yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, going back to the before 2014, and even up until the war, actually, there were Russians using Ukraine as like they could do all their criminal stuff in Ukraine, and Russia would get, or Ukraine would get blamed for it, even though it was Russians doing it. You know, Cheryl says, I called MTG to tell her how Russia really thinks of and treats evangelicals under corruption. Yeah, under occupation. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about that too today, I think. But I don't think MTG cares. She's not evangelical. She's just don't get me started. Wow, your ex-wife went to Helsinki, Romania, Czechia, Rome, and Russia. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's wild. That's okay. My ex-wife is Chinese. I mean, like real Chinese, and like she loves Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping and Jesus. No, yeah, Xi Jinping, Jesus, and Mao Zedong. She are her 3 favorite people in the world, and she builds parts for NASA. So that's scary. Okay, so it's pretty whack that this whole war has just started because of a couple of guys who were they're willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of lives so that they don't go to jail. And now they're going to go to jail anyway. Look at these mooks. Yeah. So, we'll close that out. I don't need a million tabs open, right? So other good news, but it's one of these things that I'm like, I'm like, why? Like, why is this happening? Okay. And so this is the other good thing, right? Farmers terminate border blockade with Ukraine. Why? This is like, I feel like, a 4-year-old child. Why? Why? I mean, is it because they saw all this military equipment coming and they didn't want to, you know, they didn't want to be staring down a line of Bradleys and MRAPs? I mean, maybe that's why. Yeah, Shere Khan. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Il Pirata's here, but he said he had a hell of a time going through the border. Thank you, UTV and Ham. Really appreciate it. Really, man. These days. So yeah, so like, I don't think that they pulled their heads out of their asses. I don't think that that's the thing that happened. I think that they were just afraid, maybe, when they saw all these, U.S. military stuff coming through, and they're like, we, have I'm just picturing like a bunch of U.S. soldiers, quote unquote NATO soldiers, driving up to these protesters and going, you will move now. Oh, Pirata is lurking. Oh yeah, he's probably flying or driving somewhere. That's the usual. Max. So Max says a payoff. I don't think so. I mean, maybe. Who knows? I'm just speculating here. I mean, how can I know? You know, it's just interesting. I wish that if anybody was on the border at that time, I would, at the moment when all of the stuff came through. Yeah, Blonde Bombsheller made a very good point. Any of your comments that get deleted, please feel free to, because I'm always interested in anything you have to say. Put them in the comments after the stream, like save them for later, because I'll try and respond, or at least give you a thumbs up or something. Yeah, so Viper says, very worried about my second home after Ukraine, Georgia. It's in a terrible situation as the government can't go against Russia. Yeah, so, but the public protest and then they demand it. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, Cheryl, Cheryl says, Dugan broke the news to Tucker that Protestants are too individualistic and he believes in the supremacy of the Russian Orthodox state. Yeah. I thought about talking about Dugan today, but I didn't. You know what? I'm gonna kind of move things around here a little bit because Viper, since you mentioned Georgia, I want to talk about that right now. So things are getting serious in Georgia. I don't know, Viper, you tell me. I have some information that it's been a couple of months now, and I don't know if it's safe to share it or not, but have you guys heard anything about the Georgian Legion lately? I mean, here's their Twitter page, Okay. But I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Has anybody seen them on the front line since, I don't know, March? I'm just wondering, where are they? Because the last I heard, well, I'm not sure I should say what's the last thing I heard. But now the last thing I heard starts to make sense. I don't think they are. Well, I don't think they're on the front line. I think if they're not in Georgia right now, I think they are preparing to go. That's my own speculation. And I think it's about to get real serious in Georgia real quick. That's what I would say about it. That is speculation. But interesting. Cheryl, you said I saw some at the Georgian protests. Oh, Mitch. Yeah, no. I there's a lot of Georgians in normal Ukraine legions, but the Georgian Legion most definitely exists. They are, they are an independent portion of the International Legion. I don't know exactly the numbers, but they are. Oh, KK's GG. Hey, what's going on? Yeah. All good. Lurking while working. For reals. I get you. I understand this is like morning for some people, weird times for everybody, But yeah, so you sold all your property in Georgia. Yeah, I think we're going to see shit hit the fan. I mean, it's good news. It's good news. When it happened, when I found out about the Georgian Legion, I was angry. I was like, why? What are they doing? And now I understand because they saw this coming, and I think that they maybe just because this is crazy town, So yeah, so then the next thing that I want to talk about, is Telegram, and I use Telegram all day. Here in Ukraine, I couldn't live without Telegram. Okay, guys, that's half my job. By the way, Shirkan, I don't know if I said it, but hi, good to see you. Oh, interesting. Cheryl says a couple of Georgian fighters who had been in Ukraine were interviewed, beat up by police in Georgia. Okay. Well, there you go. Battle hardened is no use unless they have the weapons. This happened a year ago. Wait and see, Mr. Squiggle. Fair enough. So yeah. So basically, Telegram first blocked and then unblocked the chatbots used by Ukraine's intelligence services. Okay. Now, my theory, a lot of speculation. Ronnie, Telegram taught me how to DDoS Russia. That's good. Yeah, no, I mean, I know that it was created by a Russian. It was originally based in Russia, but it's not anymore. So the last week, the Russian founder of the Dubai-based Telegram, Pavel Durov, so he, Russia kind of doesn't like him, but it said that the company had received an official letter from Apple regarding, quote, certain changes that should be implemented for users accessing telegrams on iPhones from Ukrainian SIM cards. He mentioned that these changes would likely affect general news and propaganda channels available to Ukrainian users, but didn't provide further details. So, where is this coming from? Because, okay, I don't know. I'm not a software guy. I'm a network guy. Okay. So obviously I'm not going to know all the details here, but I know that if you want to hack something, a good way to do it is turn it off and turn it back on again. And then while it's reconnecting, that's when it's most vulnerable. Okay. So, one of the blocked chat bots called Vorthog, launched by the digital ministry, allows Ukrainians to report the whereabouts of Russia's troops, artillery, and weapon systems inside the country. If verified, this data is then integrated into Ukraine's military databases. If you wanted to set up what's called a man-in-the-middle attack on a network, for example, a good time to do that is when the network is rebooting and all of the systems are reconnecting, essentially. And I would just posit without real knowledge that now, or the flip side is that this is a case of America's own freaking tech companies once again doing the wrong thing and working against Ukraine. Yeah. So Viper, so you're saying yes, no way the country will not be able to stand against them. There's just not weapons or people. By them, I assume you mean what, the Russians? Well, I mean, but if going back to that, about back to Georgia, going back down to Georgia, if there was ever a time for the Georgian Legion to do something, this would be the time, I would posit. I would just put that idea forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah, So they need to keep West and Russia happy, but at the end, Russia is more important. Well, but Russia's paralyzed in terms of what actual force it can do. It can't help Armenia right now. Is it gonna reinvade Georgia right now? I mean, I just don't think so. So I mean, in terms of, I'm talking about effectively the potential of a violent coup. Yeah, in 2008, it took them 8 days. I mean, it's fair, but maybe I'm entirely speculating. So, trying to be hopeful, I guess. I don't know if that's hope or not. But so going back to Telegram, this is sketchy. This is real sketchy to me. Blocks then unblocks, and they give a reason that Apple asked for it. And I mean, dude, you have no idea the amount of chaos it would cause if Ukraine had to get off of Telegram. But just imagine if all of these chatbots that are gathering information. So a Telegram spokesperson told Reuters that bots were temporarily disabled due to a false positive, but have since been reinstated. That's bullshit. No, it's entirely possible that now these bots are there's something in the middle that is monitoring the information these bots collect. That's one thing. Another thing. Well, okay. Enough about it. Levi exiled. Wow, that's what a name, dude. Really. Or Levy, is it pronounced Levy? Hi, Georgian here. It would be cool if our army could do something, but new risks open up unless no one else helps us or others don't stand up for themselves. Example, Chechens. You are so freaking right. And unfortunately, the West's track record with Georgia or even Ukraine has not been great. Has not been great. So, but maybe that's why I'm saying maybe the Georgian Legion is kind of I hope they take their guns with them when they leave Ukraine. That's all I can say about it. Hang on, you guys did a lot of messages. Mr. Squiggle says, I am in the opinion that if Telegram has been compromised, maybe they fixed it with the update. It was turning itself on my phone and downloading data. I had to force stop Telegram. That's interesting. You have an iPhone? Yeah, Ronnie, the government was pro-Europe, and they did a 180 turn because Russia stepped in and said, hey, all you politicians who have, money in And it's basically one oligarch who controls the party, essentially. And he made all his money in Russia. And so he's under their thumb. Yeah, I'm not sure the U.S. knows what to do about these attacks. Yeah, it's a real question. Okay, interesting. All right. Okay, so Levi, also Georgia isn't provided much military support. We don't have air defense. We do, but little. We have old and shitty T-72s. We have artillery. Yeah, if the EU or America grew a backbone, you know, I'm sure. Yeah. So, okay. Interesting. Believe it is the Chinese government. Well, yeah. It seems like the Georgian dream is using it reminds me of 2014, 2013, 2014 all over again. Yeah. So, all right. So let's move on for a little bit. Yesterday, I met yet another veteran of Ukraine with a traumatic brain injury. And what's crazy is like, so he lives in my village. He speaks English. That's how we kind of got to know each other, because there's not a lot of people here in my village who speak English, obviously. And so he always took up the opportunity to talk to me. So he had somebody to speak English with. And my God, like just a couple of months ago, like I hadn't seen him for a while. I didn't know where he was. And just a couple of months ago, like a month ago, I met him, and he was like, "Hey, I was like, where you been?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've been in the military. I was up in what did he say? Kupiansk area." Interesting. Hang on, Paul Gilbert. Did you hear that the USA and UK are going to block open access to high-res satellite images? I hope this doesn't affect the OSINT community. That's interesting. No, I did not know that. I don't think they're going to be able to. I mean, there's too many companies out there doing it. I mean, like, yeah, they could block it in the US and UK, but it'd be like cutting off your nose to spite your face, because that would mean just that everyone outside of the US and UK would be able to access those images, Yeah, KK's GG talking about Georgia. Sadly, the West usually only does the right thing when it also serves their strategic interests too. Yeah. No, the West missed. We have shitty history teachers in America, frankly. I mean, I know there are good ones, obviously, but a lot of them, they really want to be the basketball coach, and they just passed with, C minuses on their history teacher exams so that they could, be the basketball coach at the school. That's the thing in America, Oh wow, now you guys are okay. Okay, I can't keep up. But Bell says if more Americans knew the truth about Ukraine and Georgia, they would demand that we do something. Yes, but Russia has worked very hard to make sure this doesn't happen. It absolutely is up to us to change that. That is absolutely the case. And frankly, I think a lot of the things that are happening in the Middle East right now are just literally a distraction. The protests that are happening are, man, I think it's going to come out that there's funding. Viper, you talk about something here. Also, the problem since full-scale war, more than 300,000 Russians crossed the Georgian border and have already established businesses. Yeah, that's true. But most of those Russians, I would argue, not all of them, but let's say the majority, are not exactly pro-Russia. So maybe silver lining. I'm looking. I'm grasping at straws here, man. You know. Okay. Um, yeah. Americans aren't well informed, especially they weren't when the Soviet Union collapsed. Yeah. Yep. And this is the reason Russian propaganda is so strong against Americans. Yeah, we generally have no freaking clue what happens outside of America. You know, that's straight up. And we know like America and England and maybe France, and that's, like that's it. Uh so here, let me see. I have a cool map. I think I've shown it before. It's not cool, but it's a map. I just want to show this. Oh yeah. Here we go. Yeah. So here it is. This map is called 2,000 Americans asked to locate Ukraine on a blank map. Okay. That's what you're looking at here, guys. Actually, a lot of people marked Georgia as being Ukraine. That's interesting. And then a lot of people put Ukraine in the middle of the Black Sea. A lot of people thought Ukraine is in Kazakhstan. And Uzbekistan, looks like they got Ukraine mixed up with Uzbekistan. I think that the people doing Argentina and Australia, I just think they were just like, fuck it. I don't know. Just the guy who put it in the middle of, the Atlantic Ocean. I was like, oh shit, I don't know. Let's put it anywhere. Yeah, well, a lot of Mitch, if you look, a lot of them marked Alaska as being Ukraine. So there you go. Yeah, Bell. It makes me sad too, but you got to laugh about something. Sure, that's fair. Russians have not left Russia because they didn't want to kill innocents, but because they didn't want to be killed. Yeah. And yes, you're right, Levi. Russia is a fascist regime. Absolutely. So, I want to just kind of move on from. Oh, here we go. We can talk about this. I have a subject I want to talk about, but this is a nice segue. I have been to this monument many, many times. I thought it was called the Friendship of Nations Monument, but I didn't realize that this statue right here. I don't know. Those of you who have been to Kyiv, you surely have seen this. And it's one of these very typical Soviet sort of statues, and they're taking it down. Finally, I'm surprised, shocked that they didn't like 2 years ago. The monument commemorates the signing of a 1654 treaty, quote unquote, binding Ukraine to Russian rule, which is not true. It's not what happened. The Khmelnytsky Accord, the Khmelnytsky Agreement, basically said that one guy and his Cossacks were going to fight for Russia, and Russia just took that as a method to dominate. Anyway, but yeah, it's interesting. One Ukrainian said, "I don't understand how a monument like that can still stand there, especially after Russians actually sent a missile and damaged part of this area. In fact, you can't actually go there at all now because it's been damaged." Cheryl, maybe Alaska will be the next Ukraine. You know what? If that's what it takes to wake up my fellow Americans, fine. That's yeah. Just that crack was a very underwhelming statement, in my humble opinion. Yeah, I agree. It's like it's shocking to me that it's been there this whole time. It basically stands. You can see it from Maidan Nezhelezhnosti, you know. And there's like anyway, it's interesting. Um, other interesting news here, just in case you didn't think that. God, did you hear Orban's speech last week? I think it was, where he basically said, what was the interview? I'm Max. I wish they would try. Yeah, bring it on, right? I mean, seriously. Orban speech. Let's see. I think it was CPAC. I don't know what it was. His most recent. Yeah. No, it was very recently. Yeah, against the EU, and basically saying that the Western world was, he wanted to bring about the fall of Western civilization, essentially. Like how is this guy still in NATO? And Slovakia, I understand that they're running on very slim margins. Okay, but these guys, Slovakia, Serbia, um, Hungary, these countries need to face some consequences for what they're doing, and I do not think that they are they're facing enough consequences within the EU, or those of them that are within or in NATO. I don't think they're facing the consequences that they should be. So it's a problem. Somebody was mentioning about satellites, and so it just made me think of this. Loosely related, but basically, two of the big satellite telecom, they have a completely different model for satellite communication. So they have satellites out at like geostationary orbit. So they're like huge multi-ton satellites in geostationary orbit. And basically the two major companies have merged. And the idea here is that that's going to make a company that's going to be better able to compete against Starlink. I don't know. It's a thought. Yeah. So something else that I just really, really need to talk about and bring up, because like I was saying before, yet another person, we saw earlier, many weeks ago, we saw Matt, who suffered two traumatic brain injuries. Okay. In Ukraine, one from, one from explosions nearby, and the second one from getting shot in the head with a rubber bullet. And he had a. If you guys didn't see, this was a month ago or so. He had a seizure in the middle of the live stream. Yeah. So I talked to him last week, Bill, just to check in on him, and he said he's doing good. But I do wonder, though. I wonder if his seizures are maybe getting worse. I kind of, have that. So the guy in my village, who, he had to be discharged from the military because he was having seizures from, not from getting shot in the head, but from these nearby explosions. And now it's being found, and this is one of the studies that I have read. I read this a while ago, but it's coming out that the guys in, our guys who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, a lot of them have TBIs. And it turns out that it's not from getting hit in the head by anything. It's just from being near to artillery, or like being in the wrong place around a javelin, for example. And so this is a real problem. Okay. And I maybe this sounds boring to you guys or something, because it's just like scientific studies, but like Okay, so Il Pirata, thank you very much, Il Pirata, bought this helmet for me because we were going out to the front line, and I realized I didn't have a helmet yet, and so we stopped at kind of last minute before leaving and picked one up. But as someone who's been hit in the head like semi-professionally, many like thousands of times, and I've suffered a concussion like once. Okay, once, and the swords that we use travel at about the average speed of around 55 miles an hour. Yeah, Mitch, it's the concussion of the blast. Okay, and so these helmets are real good at stopping like shrapnel. Okay, which is great. And pistol rounds, and occasionally like a glancing blow from a 7.62 I've seen. Okay, but from those sonic blasts from artillery, both incoming and outgoing, these helmets for our soldiers are not doing the job. And if you look at this chart here, they're talking about this is just in the United States Department of Defense worldwide totals. So it's everybody who served from what years? 2000 to 2019. 82% there are these mild, and that's what a lot of these blasts will cause. Wow, Cheryl, a blast wave killed my grandma in the Blitz. Wow. But a lot of times people will get these mild TBIs, but they get them repeatedly over and over, And what's very interesting is that these helmets are pretty good for the specific things that they're designed for, but blunt impact testing. So they drop them from a certain height, and they do that pretty good. So this is a very interesting graph here showing. I'm not going to explain the whole freaking thing, but basically the stuff on the kind of right, everything in gray and kind of orange there. This is data that's been collected about different types of, head drop, skull injuries. Yeah, let's see. Viper says, we actually spoke about that and is serious, but playing rugby since the age of 6 till 28, I think my brain was concussed so many times it can't be concussed anymore. Yeah, well, no. My thing is, being hit in the head so many times. I mean, my neck is smaller than it used to be. I used to have a really thick neck. Okay, I haven't fought in like more than 4 years. So, but I don't. That's not the issue when we're dealing with these blast things. So if you look at this data here, this is acceleration over time, right? So it's this really fast acceleration. It's not a huge acceleration, but it comes through really fast. And what they're saying here is that it deforms your head and like squishes your head in as the wave travels through, and basically like squishes the brain. Yeah, so I'm thinking about myself, because I may, maybe I'll be out there sometime, and how do I want to deal with this? And Viper, maybe you have some ideas about this, but so like this study here, and I just want to get down to where they talk about the mechanism by which blast pressure waves produce injury to the central nervous system, in particular the brain, is not fully understood, and they talk about that. It says here, in multiple shock waves from a single IED as explosives may detonate at slightly different times, with blast waves reflected off physical surrounding. Negative pressure causes cavitation. But what's very interesting is this research that they've shown here is that it is sound. It's still sound. So just having any sort of, and the thing is right. So this helmet might be real good at covering the back of your head, but what about your face, right? Because your face is still part of your head, and sound waves come in. They also leave through your face, mine anyway. And so, I mean, those of you who have fought, who have served, so first of all, they talk about webbing versus padding, and they talk about how the webbing, actually the sound can come in under the helmet and amplify the pressure wave effect. So that's a big reason why padding is more effective. But I can tell you that there's a combination of that you can use, which is padded webbing, which in my personal experience is like even more effective. So it's like a padded suspension system. I will tell you that I mean, this helmet is okay, but I think that if I ever actually go out to fight in the front line, I'm going to get a helmet like this. This is the helmet I want right here. This is what I want. Well, okay. And I want the whole thing to be, or I'll get one of these, but I want it to be like 3 sizes too large. And, and have more padding, because more padding makes a difference, but also, yeah, see, I'll walk around like this. I'll look just like this guy. More adding. Okay, so now, Viper, that's very interesting you should say that. So in my experience in the SCA, okay, which is, the medieval combat, okay, a lot of people like to go with a really super light helmet, but actually having a heavier helmet, it actually because there's more inertia, so it absorbs more force. So having a heavier helmet, I know that soldiers, they all don't like it, blah blah blah. I'm the sort of person, I wear helmets like this as my goddamn hobby. Okay, so like I do this for fun, but actually the heavier weight means that it absorbs more force, essentially, because it has more inertia, essentially. But it has to be balanced. So when you have like a giant freaking, all the kinds of NVGs and GoPro and all that other stuff, and your helmet's all unwieldy and unbalanced. Now that is when things go screwy. So, and yes, I will have a bigger Schwartz. But also, according to this study, and Viper, any of you who have served, it says here the addition of face masks. So very simple way to stop the majority of that from. So it says here, exposing it to frontal blast wave simulations in 3 scenarios: when uncovered, when wearing an ACH helmet. That's a fast helmet, right? And wearing an ACH with a face shield. While they found that the ACH produced no significant reduction in blast effect on brain tissue, they also concluded it did not produce any harmful focusing blast wave under the helmet. Finally, the helmet face shield combination was found to significantly reduce the magnitude of stresses transmitted to the brain by preventing the soft facial tissues from direct contact with the blast wave. Yes. Salt of the Red Earth. Yes, I used to do Highland games as well. Absolutely. Many, many of them. Both as part of SCA and the Viking reenactment. Um, yeah, just know that walking with even a 3 kilo camel pack becomes shit heavy after kilometer 5. It's like most soldiers don't even wear groin armor. Yeah, no, I know, and I've walked around in full suits of medieval armor, but and yeah, after about a kilometer, you're like, OMG. But if it's well balanced, it's easier to deal with. And I think, like, in fact, I would, in most cases, I would rather, if I have to walk 5 kilometers, with either carrying my helmet or wearing my helmet, I'd rather wear it because then it's balanced on my center of gravity. The only reason I wouldn't do it is because people would think I was weird, like, because it's like a Viking helmet or whatever. um, but yeah, I mean, it's just like the thing is so what kind of a face mask are soldiers going to agree to wear? It's, Viper, like you're just talking about that, like um it says the addition of face masks is not new. In World War One, the German helmet came with an optional face shield attachment, but was seldom worn as soldiers found it was too heavy and ungainly. And that's true. It goes back for thousands of years. Um, so, oh yeah. Oh, Dimitri, I've been fighting in like Phoenix when it was like 102 degrees, you know, all day fighting and then walking for kilometers. Oh yeah, and then drinking all night and getting up at 7 in the morning and fighting again. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Salt of the Red Earth. Yeah, yeah, with bagpipe, eight yards of wool socks and hats. Yeah. So anyway, this is just something that I'm thinking about because like I'm just meeting so many people here who, right, so face mask is an obstacle to situational awareness. That's absolutely right, and I can testify to that for sure. you know but there's got to be a balance somewhere. I mean, like, if we just do a Google search for helmet to prevent, oh, here we go, I was looking it up earlier. you know okay, so probably not this one. Okay, that's some cosplay shit. But I mean, there's got to be something that, you know, I mean, I've seen these things and they suck. Um, but I mean, there's just, I personally have a friend who, took a grenade to the face. Um, right. You're right. Shirkan, yeah. Yeah. Viper says, summer heat, sweat, damn man, we battled just keeping feet dry. Now full face mask. Give me the concussion. I often wonder if the Romans didn't have the right idea with the with their Roman caligae, these the Roman shoes. You know, I do wonder if maybe they were dealing with those problems in just a yeah. No, I don't know, guys. I'm just thinking about it. You know, so if I do end up having to, like, if everything I'm trying to do just goes shit sideways and I just say fuck it, I'm gonna go sign up again because my back is getting better. It's getting better. Um, you know, like, just look for the guy with the lightsaber. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right, silliness. Um, but it's a serious situation, and I just, yeah. Um, So earlier in the stream today, somebody mentioned attackums, I think, or maybe it was me. And the news is all about it, right? And I'm excited about it too. A Druish princess, you guys. So, I mean, I'm excited about attackums. Okay, that's great. Just a sub headline here. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kiev has credible intelligence that Russia plans to disrupt the global peace summit to be held in. You think? Okay. So the United States has confirmed that it secretly sent long-range missiles to Ukraine. Okay. When? When were they sent? Okay. So this is an article from the 25th, so last month. But according to the article, is it this article I was reading? According to what I was reading, is this not the article? Son of a... When were long-range ATACMS sent to Ukraine? I believe it was March. Yeah. Maybe it's... Let's see. Try this one. I believe it was March. Correct me if I'm wrong. Viper says, I'm not testing. No shit, James. No guinea pig here. Yeah, sandals, hell yeah, that sounds great. Just will not last in the mud season. Yeah, I agree. No, I mean, the Roman soldiers when they went to Britain, they quit wearing the sandals and they switched over to regular, what we would consider shoes. I think Blonde Baumschiller wants to be encouraged. That's what I think. But okay, so what I have read is that they were sent in March. Okay, great. Why is the Kerch Bridge still standing? Yeah, you tell me. Somebody tell me. I don't understand it. Why is the Kerch Bridge still standing? Right? Isn't it the number one target? Kerch Bridge. Kerch Strait Bridge. This is the one. The bridge between Crimea and Russia. Okay. This is from back in 2022 when they first, it was in 2022 when they first did the first big attack. Why? You're being good, Blonde Bombshell. Okay. I don't believe you, but okay. Well, okay. So Ronnie, Mordor is building a new railway in the occupied region. Okay, maybe that's why. Okay, sure, Dimitri. Well, it gets closed every other day, and they're expecting it to happen. I mean, I think that there's a timing thing. I think that there's got to be some kind of a strategic reason for this. Okay, I'm just closing up all the masks here. Are they I just don't know why Ukraine hasn't already attacked the Kerch Bridge. And I understand about the railway and stuff too, but I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain this to me. It's just something nobody's been talking about, and I don't understand why. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it other than that. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Cheryl, I'm reading the United Liberty headline: Ukraine-born Congresswoman Zelensky's abandoned. Yeah. There's this crazy, you know, Ukrainian American Congressperson. What I forget her name. She's really off the wall. It's like, why? Why of all the people? Why did it have to be her? Ugh. Sure, Levi. That makes sense. I think they aren't ready to assault it yet. They're focused on the Eastern Front. Budnov told them to be quiet. Whatever, something. Yeah, Victoria Sparks. I mean, honestly, Victoria Sparks, and it's fine. We're getting off topic here. I'm just speculating on that topic, and I don't have an answer. Sparts or Sparks? Sparts. Victoria Sparts. She's Indiana. I just like. I feel like. Okay. So here's what. No. All right. So here's my experience. I can say about Ukrainians in America. Okay. And here we go. So she voted no on aid. Her hometown feels betrayed. She's from Chernihiv, which is fucking awful. My experience with Ukrainians who left Ukraine many years ago, like before 2014 at least. Interesting. Okay, so you said, Mr. Sruel, Greg Terry experience is saying that there might be a reason and give her time, as he says he knows her. I said a while ago she was resigning, and then did an about face in full MAGA. Yeah. So, just I want to turn you guys on to my experience with Ukrainians who left Ukraine before 2014. Like I'm talking like they left Ukraine like 2000 or even 1991. And it is that their memories of how Ukraine was is how they think Ukraine is. So Ukraine was this Russia-infested, mafia-infested, post-communist hellhole. In, let's say, 1998. It was just odd. The stories that I've heard from people, from my wife, from her family, it's just awful. Just the government was mafia. It was all just corruption. And so people who grew up in that, even Ukrainians who live here, who grew up in that shaped their viewpoint. Like whatever you grew up in and lived in your childhood, that shapes your concept of reality. And it's very difficult to, unless you have some kind of an experience in your life that really, really radically, changes your whole world concept. Whatever you experienced in your early teenage years, let's say, around, let's say from 11, 12, 13, those are formative years for your brain. Yeah, Bell. They refuse to acknowledge the leaps and bounds that Ukraine has made since then because they haven't been back to Ukraine, most of them, or at least not for any significant period of time. And in their mind, that's what Ukraine is, and you can't convince them that Ukraine will ever change, to be honest. Or that it has changed, or that any progress that it's making is ever going to go anywhere. Because they'll just say, oh no, it'll just be back to the same old thing again. That's the attitude. Okay. So yeah, Cheryl says, same with my neighbor who lived in Kharkiv around 2000. He remembers that Ukraine. Exactly. And that is set in their mind, and it's just not going to change. And that, I'm assuming, well, Mitch, I mean, it is possible to go out and seek the sort of, life-changing experiences. Neuroplasticity is a thing, but you have to have something that either causes it, or you have to actively go out and seek it. Learning a new language, for example, is a great way to foment neuroplasticity. Moving to a new country. Hello. Right. Yes, they think that everything will go back to Russia or Russian standards, and they just think that that's inevitable. Really. And to be honest with you, my wife kind of has the same attitude, and it's really tough to shake her of it. Mrs. Herb just got that degree. Really? A degree in what? A language? That's cool. Oh. Oh, sorry. Okay, I promise that I'm going to go and I think it might not be YouTube. It might be Restream. I'm going to change the Restream settings after tonight. Tonight, I'll do it tonight before I go to bed myself, so that my next live stream, then we'll test this. Oh, she got a degree in neuroplasticity. Oh, that's cool. That's kick-ass. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sorry, Viper. You can message me on Discord. You can message me personally. Yeah, so they ran. I don't blame them, but then what did they do to make things better? Thank you, Mr. Squiggle. Yeah. Well, it's learned helplessness, okay? It's learned helplessness because they're like, I can't do anything, nothing. So a lot of Ukrainians still have this attitude today, to be honest, Right. Bill, exactly. I see it in people who suffered years of abuse. Their worldview is warped by their suffering. Yeah, it really is that. Well, that's cool, Herb. That's really cool. Smart gal. That's rocking. So, and to be honest, the same kind of thing is happening. Well, I do want to talk about this subject, but maybe I want to talk about mobilization. Oh, interesting. So, Mr. Squiggle, South Americans are the same. Yeah, because they suffered under really, Viper, it's when you use military terms like tactics, and that is so weird. Why is it? That's obnoxious. That's really obnoxious. Okay. Yeah, shrooms and hallucinogens are supposed to help neuroplasticity, is my understanding, Okay. So here's the next subject that I need to talk about before we go today. There's two more, and then I think we'll be done because everything else is kind of small. The man, this the changes in the law for quote unquote mobilization in Ukraine. Remember that a lot of the students I teach are in the IT fields. Blonde Bombshell, you can type tactics, but Viper can't. It's got to be an AI thing. It's got to be AI. Like Herb can talk about shrooms. Cheryl, yeah. Yeah, no, it's I think that doing hallucinogens periodically under the right environment and circumstances is a good way. It's kind of like a shortcut to neuroplasticity if it's used correctly, you know. Oh, okay, fair enough. That is true. That is true. Real Dave Seaman. I do have a bunch of wicked videos and pics from the drone and tourniquet handover. I do. And I've sent them all to you. And I'm just concerned about OPSEC, and I have to be careful about them. But they are going to be coming out. I'm going to have shorts coming out over the next few days. Yeah, interesting. You guys test it, and well, okay, all right. I'm getting off topic. I want to talk about the mobilization, and holy crap, some of my students. I mean, one of my students just left the country. He was like, "Yep, no more lessons. I'm out of here." Like 2 weeks ago, gone. And the mobilization was a big reason for that. Another one I was speaking to today was just like, I mean, just basically spend an hour. I mean, we can say cowards. We can say that word. I want to use that word. But I also, I have to recognize that not everybody can be or should be in the military. Okay. Certainly, Mr. Swiggle, how did he leave? I do not have those details. I think he had a job offer from like Canada or something. That doesn't tell me anything about how he actually left, though, because let's see, Il Pirata was saying that when he was coming through the border, they were taking guys off the bus or off the was it the bus or I can't remember, pulling guys out of line. And I mean, so there's because of this, and I want to just kind of transition. Well, actually, no, Mr. Squiggle. I think he got through right before the big crackdown happened, and now it's like a major crackdown. So now you guys are using tactics in every sentence. God, you're just making Viper feel bad. Jeez. Okay. Anyway, so this legacy, as I was discussing before, this legacy of the 1990s, a legacy of corruption, which is still a problem. By the way, I also want to talk about this article here, but later. This is kind of, how do I say it? Like when I tell my wife about, I want to join the army, and I think more people should join the army, and she's like, "Well, what about the politicians? Their children aren't fighting." You still cannot leave Ukraine without a valid reason. It's the valid reasons that have changed, Shere Khan. And so that's what this article is about. Those fit for service will be divided into categories according to their state of health, and the categories have been changed. So there was a middle category called the status of limited suitability for service. So originally there was a suitable, and then there was like, you got some problems, whatever the issue is, kind of some bullshit issue, and then flat feet or something, and then not suitable at all. The most valid reason is a bribe, Cheryl. Max, I'm glad you'll miss me. Well, okay, so we'll burn that bridge when we come to it, right? Okay, so okay, fair enough. Real Dave Seaman. Let me just I guess it'll open up here. Let me move it over here. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. Very good. Will do. Okay. Um anyway, so I can tell you that at the companies where that I teach, I mean, they're like having meetings about it. They're freaking out, man. They are literally freaking out. These IT guys, I mean, to be honest with you, having been an IT guy myself, you don't go into IT because you want to get your hands dirty as a general rule. You don't go into IT because you like, using a shovel or whatever. Um, Herb, nobody wants to fight a skinny, naked guy who's crying. Wow, you're actually making me think of one of my students right now. Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, and so right, so Ronnie says, is that draft law in effect? It goes into effect this month. I think on like the 15th of the month, as I was reading, or maybe it's the end of this month. Um, you know, uh, so and then the thing, but I mean, they do have a valid point in the sense that um yeah, does Bill says, does Ukraine conduct testing, see where a person would fit the best in their ranks like the US does? Yeah, that's the problem. So that is exactly what I was bringing up. So at the beginning of the war, there were guys, like I said, computer programmers being thrown into the trenches with no freaking experience. And if I can find the article that I wanted, let me just find it here. Go to my and all right, hello. No, I don't want to. I want to find this article from the. Just give me a second. I swear to God, brain cells are working. Okay, here we go. From the flashback, if you haven't, if you don't read the flashback or check him out on like YouTube, and I think he's on another channel. So yeah, so this is the article that I wanted to share with you. So this is the nightmare. Okay, this is the nightmare that most. Uh, this is the nightmare that most salt of the earth. I think that is why Dennis left. Arguably, right. So Viper is a very good statement here. But as an IT guy, there is a place for you. Maybe recon or data processing. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, for me, I'm not just an IT guy. I specifically want to deal with comms. So that's like field comms. Okay, so setting up in electronic warfare in terms of like field, like wireless communications, wireless and wired communications is my. So IT, what you define as IT, like what they call IT here means computer programming. What we call IT in America is computer networking. Okay, these are very different sets of skills. But so the nightmare scenario for many Ukrainians is this one. Okay, so um, so it's talking about a guy who died. Shrapnel tore his leg in a couple of minutes. He died from blood loss. It was only later I found out that he was an officer who did not even have time to fully graduate from the same academy where I studied. He was 21 years old. He was studying in the fourth year. 6 months before graduation, a full-scale invasion began. He received an officer's epaulets and was just thrown into the trenches. Um, that's kind of the nightmare, and especially at the beginning of this war. And I understand what you were saying, Viper. But at the beginning of this war, there was a lot of these kids who were just thrown from the freaking programming desk to directly into the trenches, and they're like, and the guy, this my student I was talking to this week, he was like, I can't even think about living the way the soldiers have to live on the front lines. Forget about the fighting part. Like, that's completely outside my conception. Uh, yeah. Okay. Good to know, Viper. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot that I could do on the front lines or near them. I mean, within comms range. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But these are kids. We're talking about 20-something kids who, like the student I was talking to, he was 27, and he was like, "Oh my god, um, they're soft, right?" Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, just exactly what you said, Viper. But we need to remember we didn't plan for the war, and in crisis, just fight or we all die. Yeah. Um, I think that the Ukrainian military is getting better about, you know, making fitting people in, but there's a lot, just like I was saying, there's a lot of mistrust in the institutions. There's a lot of mistrust in the military here, in the military's ability to mistrust in military commanders, and I don't mean Starsky. I mean you know, in the article I just showed you, that guy was an officer, and so I'm not presenting a solution here. I mean, I do think that. I mean, you guys tell me, but I think that there needs to be a big rotation of not just soldiers on the front line, but commanders. You know, and every Ukrainian soldier I've talked to has told me the same thing. Like, we got to get rid of the Soviet commanders in our army. And the ones who just joined so that they could stuff their pockets with corruption. And so these people in their soft apartments in Kiev are, these guys are freaking out because they're like, well, what? There's not the same, and I've talked about this before. There's not the same like regard in terms of status for military personnel and officers in particular. Here, I would argue, correct me if I'm wrong, that like, if you're wearing a military uniform, let's say, and you walk into a bar, every woman's going to turn their head in America. Okay? Especially if it's an officer's uniform and you're all looking snappy. Okay? In Ukraine, that's not the way they think of it. Military is something that you do because you want to be an alcoholic with a traumatic brain injury for the rest of your life, and that goes all the way back to World War II. So it's this is we're watching this radical transition of the Ukrainian society, and they're just going to have to wrangle it out, is what I would say. Yeah, okay, right. So Cheryl, talking about Dennis Davydov, thank you for reminding me about that. He wanted to renew his commercial pilot's license. His pilot friend was placed in the infantry. A drone exploded near his home. His daughter was scared. He wanted to grow up with a father. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, so right. So I guess he did kind of have, he was like, yeah, I'm a freaking pilot. What Why would they just throw me into the infantry? I mean, these are, yeah. So, this is a very interesting article here. How to type, I think they mean like create a new unit from scratch. Conversation with Igor, commander of it's a new attack drone company. So this is where things are really going. Ukraine it is organizing. It's a separate drone army that's separate. So, like, for example, these guys and these guys, they're a drone unit attached to the 63rd Brigade, but there's a whole separate army that's being formed of just drones, which is very interesting. But he's saying, it is absolutely not true that there are no more volunteers. There are enough of them. You just need to understand how to involve them. So there are still people who want to join, but they don't want to just be thrown into a trench, not me. I'm happy. Oh, Viper. First, we need to move away from paper. That would be great. Yeah. Yeah. But that is part of what they're doing with the new, it's my understanding, with the updating information and stuff. They're talking about moving that data onto DIA or a system like DIA. Right. So sure. Jonathan says, not everyone can handle war, and who wants fear next year? Yeah. If you've got a guy who every time a gunshot goes off, he's like, woo! Woo! You don't want that guy either, for sure. But it's very interesting what he says here, talking about forming up this new unit of drone guys. So they're treating it more like they're hiring like any other company, let's see. It says here, so now is not the situation at the beginning of 2022 when there were queues at the military commissariats. That is true. On the other hand, it is absolutely not true that there are no more volunteers, because there are enough of them. You just need to understand how to attract them. According to my observations, people are afraid, in addition to dying, to get into an incomprehensible situation where they don't decide anything. So I try to work with giving volunteers some predictability. And when they talk about volunteers, of course, they're talking about people who volunteer to join the military and get paid. I want to be clear about that. Yeah. Okay. Right. So I'm just letting you know that my students are freaking out, man. The Ukrainian men in particular who are here, who haven't left yet, they are freaking out. And, this is playing out not just in terms of mobilization. It's also playing out in terms of corporate relationships with government. So this is just an interesting article about, these are like, fairly major companies, and it's pretty like comfy. That's a really common, and Meest. These are fairly big companies here in Ukraine. And I would say, and I've read some statistics somewhere, that fully half of the economy here in Ukraine is, gray or black, as they say. So it's not paying taxes, or not fully paying taxes in some way or another. But the big part of the reason for that, again, comes back to lack of trust in institutions and a ridiculously punitive and labyrinthine Byzantine bureaucracy. So just because they stopped being a communist country, they still had all of these institutions that carried with, Bell, camping culture. That's very interesting. I will mention it later. Remind me, but I will talk about it. not much is what I would say. But I also, at the same time, I know people who go camping on a regular basis. So it's kind of interesting. Most people will tell you, hell no, in Ukraine. They'll be like, fucking camping? Why would we do that? I mean, yeah. Why would I do that when I could just go live in the village? You know, that's basically in some of these houses in the village around here, you have no running water and no toilet in the house. So, um, yeah, many say they'll go if called, for sure. Absolutely. And I would say that that's probably at least the majority. Um, yeah, you need to make an incentive that works, a great bonus. Uh, Yeah, and that's the thing that my students are telling me. Like, okay, so what are you going to give me? What do I get out of it besides a freaking TBI, and a life of alcoholism and one leg missing? What am I going to get out of it? So, like, I mean, I have three brothers who are or have been in the military, and they all basically got their full education in the American military. And then I don't have a lot of good things to say about the American military in general, but I will say that they all have good jobs, they all got their education. Um, Y asks, is there a national service for those too young to mobilize? ROTC in schools? Uh-huh. Yeah, well, there should be. Yeah. Um, yeah. I would say in the west of the country, like in talking about camping, real Dave Seaman, €3 a night. Yeah, it's more like in the Carpathians. And I do also know people who would like go camping down in the Odessa area before the war. Um, so yeah, so there's this real lack of trust for government institutions. If that reminds you that the irony that the freaking MAGA Republicans are anti-Ukraine just really is really striking, because you know I'm not saying that Ukrainians are Republicans or the same, but that same level of fundamental mistrust of government is very strong. You know, the Viper. There are very good incentives if you take down an SU. That's a jet. You get $400,000. Been trying. um, but yeah, so the the government, because of the corruption, there's the corruption at all levels, and then the anyway, it's just it's a tough nut to crack. It's unraveling this problem is a thing, and it's happening, and I don't have a solution for it. I'm letting you know that it exists. I don't think it's going to cause like a revolution, um but there it is. All right. So let's talk about the very last thing here, because my God, I've been yapping for 2 goddamn hours. Jesus Christ. So it's amazing my lips aren't chapped. That's the thing. Um. So yeah. So let's talk about some videos. First of all, let's see if we can get this past the AI, shall we? Check it out. This is, by the way, this is the 63rd Brigade. This is drone footage, from the. And thank you to Il Parada for this. Okay, this is drone footage made. Well, okay, the earlier one was drone footage made by the guys that we're supporting. So, pretty badass. Um, and this does look a lot like that general area out there. Um, yeah, so definitely worth watching. This is, by the way, if you're on the Discord, go in there and check it out, because there is some, as real Dave Seaman said, awesome boom. Il Parada was kind enough to hunt this down and find this footage, and there's more, much more of this kind of stuff from our guys, and I expect that we'll be getting footage like directly from them, perhaps. Um, so Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go backwards here. Yes. Okay. I need to go to my... One moment. Aha. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, I think we can show these, because I want to show you guys, and Shere Khan, if you're here, I want to show you this. Yeah, there we go. Other show. So I don't know how many tourniquets that is. I lost count. It's like 10 or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So use them well. So half of the tourniquets, by the way, I want to make clear, half of the tourniquets I gave to the International Legion guy in the 4th Battalion. Oh, Canti. Hey. Thanks for coming. Sorry you missed the early stuff, but you came for the good part. English practice sessions are over. Wait, you so you teach people English? Is that it? Okay. UTV and Ham, thanks for coming. We are wrapping up here, so you stuck it out. Good job. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Let me see what other one do I want to show you. Oh yeah, this one's good because it doesn't show faces. They do want to be a little careful about that. Let me make sure I have that one here. Sorry guys. Is it this one? Yes, I think it's this one. Like I say, I'm going to go through and here we go.
My mom is now in Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
She went there as, kind of a refugee. But she had brothers.
Yeah.
But she does tell me.
So Sam, super nice, as you can hear, his English is like really good. Okay, and this is FOMA signing this flag that's behind me right here. It's behind me up on the wall.
I don't know how it's like to, live.
Oh, that's cool, Canti. That's
in
awesome.
Society,
Yeah,
in a small town.
it's easy and fun work too. It's really good. I'm glad you're doing that.
Oppose all this.
Right, and you got to figure maybe like 10 to 25% of Americans, if you see them wearing a Trump hat or something.
Yeah, so
they might be anti-Ukraine. So that's why we have to
we're shooting the shit
people
here,
who
basically
support Ukraine. We have to know that we're there, because otherwise we're all we just feel like we're all alone.
Oh yeah, Canti, what do you work with a specific school on that? Because I was trying to set people up with doing that with one of my schools, and I guess it kind of just didn't work out. But maybe you have another school, because there's a lot of schools, English schools in Ukraine. Yeah, so just so you guys know, this is the next thing that's going to be coming. So once I get the once I get our fundraising site set up again and moved over, you guys can donate to this raffle right now. Okay, you can either go to Buy Me a Coffee or send to this PayPal here. And the PayPal, it should be, it's this PayPal across the bottom of the screen here. That's my PayPal for, and just put raffle if you want to support the raffle, basically. Tourniquets, drones, and a mental boost. Yeah, For sure. For sure. Oh, and this one. This is a good one. Yeah. Yeah. And, some of these I might have shown already, but I think they're worth seeing again. So, because it's cool. As long as I can find it. Okay. Come on, James. Is it this one? Okay, there's this one where they're putting the drone together. Oh yeah. Here's where they're putting the drone together. Pretty cool. Like just in the middle of the parking lot. I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? But yeah, we did. So this is the drone you guys bought. They were amazed by this, by the way, you guys. Like, this was way more advanced than the drones they usually have. You got to know. Like, yeah, no, Max, unfortunately, my website is shite right now. So to going back to that, so this is, my Shopify site. And I mean, it's still up, but if you try to go to it and try to buy something, it'll say this store can't accept payments right now. So fucking lame. I'm super pissed. And they still haven't given me a reason. I still don't know why. Oh, that's interesting, Belle. So you said, I've been talking to people about the idea to buy and renovate homes in Ukraine. A lot of people are very supportive, but are not very vocal about it. They're scared of crazies attacking them on social media. That's very interesting. Yeah, Cheryl, I tell you, we're going to keep trying on that because, Cheryl says, I tried talking about English teaching, but I guess I didn't have the paper qualifications to teach English. That's bullshit. There's another, oh my God, you're right. Thank you, Real Dave Seaman. Let me try this again so I can show this video. Wow. Stupid with a capital stew sometimes. There we go. So here's the guys. That's actually Foma. He's the FPV guy. And he was like, wow, this is amazing. We've never had a drone like this before. I mean, they have chimeras. But chimeras are like way more expensive. No, they didn't get to. Yeah, this is the drone. This is it, guys. Finally and assembled here. Now they didn't get to fly it at this particular location because the controller for it. They actually had the controller, but they didn't bring it with them. I was glad because I was afraid that we were going to have to buy the controller for it too. But turns out that but they are going to rig this thing up to this. This can be an FPV drone, okay, and it is an FPV drone. Okay, I want to be clear about that. But they can rig it up. Hello, Barfly Chef. They can rig this thing up to physically. They can carry up to 6 kilograms, so it can be multi-use. Oh my God, Viper! That would be so freaking. That would be so much help because having to go back and reset up this whole website again. I'm looking at Equid. We'll talk about it, dude. Really, I really need help. I wish I could just continue with Shopify. Okay, Jonathan. Oh wait, I didn't mean to show you guys this. I'm sorry. It's showing too much now. This is them actually flying the drone, though. Okay, I'll stop it right there. I don't want to show too much stuff. Yeah. Oh, English practice. Okay, so Canti's working for the school's called English Practice. So yeah, you guys are on Discord, get together. English Practice is one that you can do. And it's just another school. The school I happen to work for, I guess they're too stuck up. I apologize for that. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in the drone thing, that's another thing. Real Dave Seaman is talking about it right now. So we are also putting stuff together to build drones, and that's a whole deal. So so we're putting together a fund for that because it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about, but we've got someone in the a friend of mine from the International Legion, although now he's in the regular army, but he is working on. Oh, Ronnie, I didn't see your message. Do you want to use my domain? I might. That might need to happen. Yeah. You're in the Discord, right? So let's talk about it on Discord. That would be great. Yeah. Holy crap. That would be really awesome because yeah. So maybe Viper and Ronnie, we can talk about it because it's really putting a gum in the works here, And I'm buy me a coffee is okay, but it doesn't have all of the features that I really want. With like that's the whole reason I went with Shopify was because there's a lot of features that I can do. Anyway, yes. So exactly what Real Dave Seaman said. Anybody who wants to join in these projects, the Discord server is the place to be. So yeah, guys, we are at 2 hours, and so I apologize for taking all your time, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want you to know this is preemptive, but I am working on this. So just revamped working title right now, Homes for Heroes. So talking about our project. This is, this kind of, I presented this a couple weeks ago. So, Ukraine volunteer training, and we're going to rebuild and renovate homes for Ukrainians, and teach people. Yeah, Bill, I'm glad I ignored Starsky and stayed here. Okay, well, thank you. I guess I'll just take it. He's a good guy though, so go back and watch him for sure. I'm looking for an orc-free zone, Jim. Yes, well, we try to be orc-free here. Oh, interesting. Barfly Chef. Especially if one plans to teach language, I highly recommend Busu. I've never heard of it. That's interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, cool. Well, guys, so that is what I'm going to end with today. Thank you all for coming, and I hope that I made you all feel better. You guys made me feel better. Oh, there was a troll in Starsky's. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Bummer. Well, sometimes it's nice to have one troll once in a while, just to screw with them a little bit. Sometimes it's okay. Oh, Cheryl, okay. Have a great one. Everybody, thank you all for coming. And I won't take any more of your time. Slava Ukraine, everyone. And Dobo Bachanya. And yes, you control trolls. Bye, everybody.